Man, it's that old thing, perseverance, consistency, hard work. My goal is to put the same work into, my businesses, my family that I put into football. And I've been running with that mantra since I got married back in '97. That if I'm going to have a successful marriage, I got to, the same hard work and same consistency and discipline I had on the football field, I got to put in my marriage and with my kids and with my businesses and all that. So it teaches you a lot, man. How to deal with your fellow man and not look at his color, but look at what he can do for the overall good of what you're trying to accomplish. So sports to me in general is just an incredible deal when you talk about football specifically because of the closeness of guys. I just believe it's an amazing sport.
Czar of the Playbook here on the campus of Southern University with head football coach Dawson Odums. Coach, I appreciate you taking time.
Oh, no, glad to have you.
Success is a process. It just doesn't happen by happenstance. You've only had one losing season since you've been here, 5 straight winning seasons, 2 SWAC West Division titles, 1 outright SWAC title. How have you been able to be so consistent in this calamity of college football?
Well, the biggest thing I think is assembling the staff and really having a process in place that we follow. We like to be able to win more championships in that time span, but for the most part, we've been able to follow the process, recruit very well, and really our passion is getting players to play extremely hard for Southern University, and that's what they've been able to do, and that's the product that we produce.
When you got here, do you feel as though when you had that first recruiting class and you have success with those guys, that helps you recruit easier, and then those dudes help you coach in the next group of guys, and it's just like a winning process that keeps rolling?
Well, every year is different. Each year you got new players, you got a new chemistry to put together. The thing that remains the same is the philosophy that you have in place and the process that we follow. We understand we face some difficult times during this transition of those 5 years where we've been able to win. But at the end of the day, man, I love being at Southern University, and I think when you love doing something, that's what makes it easier. And you try to find guys that have that same love, whether it's other assistant coaches or whether there's players that you're recruiting. We want guys who want to be at Southern, and some say yes, some say no, but at the end of the day, we think we have everything that we need to be successful. And our biggest calling card is making sure that they go to class and play hard.
What I like about watching you guys play is you guys are balanced. You have a good offense, but also a good defense. Normally you see a team that's great on offense, but maybe suspect on defense. How have you been able to balance that level of productivity on both sides of the ball?
Well, we know in the SWAC you got to score points on offense, and we know it's going to come some games where, I believe defense got to win. And I think offense win you 3 games, defense win you 3 games, and special teams win you 3 games. If you can somehow produce that formula on a day-to-day basis in your operation, you got a chance to have a successful process. I think the reason we've been so balanced is that we really spend a lot of time in all 3 phases and really giving our guys equal opportunity to be successful. There's nothing for us to take a good defensive guy, put him on offense, or take a good offensive guy, put him on defense. I think players, not plays. And what we try to do is find the best in our players, find out what they can do best, find the positive things that they have, and we focus on those characteristics. Everybody got something that they're not good at, but we spend all our time on positivity. This is probably one of the most positive programs you ever probably been around or seen. I believe in zero negativity. Who cares if it's raining outside? Who cares if we're low resource? At the end of the day, we want our players to have a mindset that as long as time is on the clock, whether it's offense, defense, or special teams, we believe the guys out there on the field is going to get it done.
And within that balance, you guys also can play any type of game. Sometimes you may have to pound it and run it downhill against an opponent. Sometimes you may need your run defense to step up and stop the run in what we now call the spread era in college football. How does that mentality roll into how you're able to maintain this level of balance?
Well, the biggest thing is I think defensively we're going to stop the run. I don't care what kind of offense we face. I mean, that's our calling card, is being able to stop the run. I think when you do that, you make a team one-dimensional. We put emphasis on stopping the run. Offensively, we want to run the football. You know, I think if you're going to be a championship caliber football team, but yeah, if you're going to have any kind of success at winning, you got to be able to run the football. And we've been able to have a great balance on offense, being able to run and throw the football. And we're really looking forward to this new year because I really think the balance is going to be there, but it's going to be more explosive. And defensively, once you take the run away, you got to have good enough secondary players that can stop the pass. And like I tell people, good secondary is a good front. If our front can get out the quarterback, we can play great pass defense. But at the end of the day, I think all games are won and it comes down to special teams. And when our special teams are producing, we're very exciting. But yet we can change the field position, we create some more exciting plays with our offense and defense being on the field.
You were a player at North Carolina Central, and you instantly jump into coaching once your playing career was done. When did you know you wanted to coach, and what seeds were you able to take from your playing days and instantly plant them as you jumped into a new profession?
Well, the biggest thing is, I think, is you draw from every experience. You draw from your middle school, your elementary, your high school playing career into your college playing career, and you draw from the people that had the chance to influence you along the way. When I graduated from North Carolina Central, you know, I was a physical education major, and what I wanted to do was really try to go into coaching. But, you know, it was harder than what it seemed. It seemed like you just get out of school, get a job, and go into coaching. But I was a coach when I played. You know, I was an on-the-field coach. I was a film guy that I love watching film, and I love how to find a tendency that could make me a better player, you know, which helped me make more plays. And that's what I try to pass along when I first got out of coaching, was just teaching young guys how to watch film. And what you find out in that is that there's never enough time to watch as much film as you need. And if players would capitalize on that, somebody's always going to give something away. You know, what makes a great investigator is a guy that can put scenes together, that can be able to find the things that somebody else is missing. That's what we are as coaches when it comes to watching film. We're investigating that film. We're trying to find some tendency. And I think from my playing days and really learning under some good coaches, I was able to apply that. When I first got out, I went back to my high school and I became a JV coach. And you know, I really didn't like JV, you know, because you can't talk to JV players the same way you can as varsity players. But I worked my way up, and then Gardner Webb blessed me with an opportunity, and from that, I've been in college coaching.
Now, you talk about the learning process, and I'm big on that too, because that's how I was as a player. I wanted to just study the film and chew it up and find tendencies. And you learn a lot just by playing the game, and we know football teaches you a heck of a lot. What would you say is the biggest thing football taught you?
Well, communication, discipline. You know, really, I'm big on discipline. You know, I look at my playing career at North Carolina Central, and I never had to be disciplined. You know, I never had to be disciplined for being late, never had to be disciplined for anything that was outside of just team discipline stuff. So I really think that calling card was discipline, man. I really believe that I held other players accountable, and I was a born leader. You know, I was always taught that, you know, you lead from the front, not the back. But it's so many different ways to lead. You know, I can think about my 5 years at North Carolina Central. I bet I didn't miss a breakfast. Someone told me breakfast was important, so I ate breakfast every day. And most of them say you probably ate breakfast every day because when I was growing up, I didn't get breakfast every day. So, but not only did I eat breakfast every day, I woke everybody up on our hall, whether they wanted to go or not. I said, because if we're going to be a productive team, then I need to make sure some of my teammates are going to eat. I knock on the door, or they would say, hey man, you get up in the morning, go to breakfast, get me up. And you know what? We know that about each other when we're on team sports. I think coaches see it and players see it. They know who the leaders need to be. Regardless whether you're a starter, whether you're a backup, they know certain guys have that it factor when it comes to leadership. And that's what made me really go into coach, is that I believe I've had that it factor for a long time.
We're on very special ground. You have a lot of great tradition here at Southern University, A.W. Mumford Stadium, one of the best coaches in college football. You also have Pete Richardson, who coached here for a very long time. You're carving your own name in the history books here at Southern. How important is tradition to you, and how are you getting that message across to the players?
Well, what I really try to elaborate to our players is that traditions sometimes waver, but history does not. Sometimes tradition is changed over the course of time. You can go from selling out to empty seats, but your history will never leave you. And what we have here at Southern University is a program that's rich in history. You named some of the names in the beginning. Mumford, one of the best college football coaches of all time, and he should be in the Hall of Fame. You talk about Maurice Cadden, who coached here. You talk about Pete Richardson. You talk about guys that have won at Southern University. But that's our history from an athletic standpoint. We're right on the bluffs of the Mississippi River. When they began to build this university, I don't think they realized what they were building, a gateway to global enhancement for African American young men and women. We now open the doors to so many and pave the way right here at this historically black institution on the bluffs of the Mississippi River. Southern University is rich in its tradition, but the tradition that we have is like no other. Jaguar Nation travels and follows, and they love this football program. And we're grateful to have a great fan base like Jaguar Nation. But our history supersedes our tradition. We've been able to plant seeds into young men and women that's going to carry them throughout a lifetime. Whether it's our football players or whether it's the students here at Southern University, there's no greater place that's rich in the history like Southern. I've been able to embrace this opportunity and been very blessed and fortunate to be the head coach of some of the great history people that came before me. When you talk about winning, how can you skip A.W. Mumford? Right here, this is the place is named after him. This is A.W. Mumford Stadium, one of the beautiful stadiums in college football. Why? Because a lot went into that. When you start talking about HBCUs, you talk about sacrifice. When you start talking about what he had to give up in order to get what he was able to achieve, there's no greater place to be. When you talk about Pete Richardson, who was here for 17 years, who won championship after championship, I'm just blessed to be able to sit in the same building on the same grounds and be able to walk in some of the same footsteps that were taken before me. And I'm just happy to be able to take the torch and be able to explain some of this history to the young men that I'm in charge of right now. When you talk about players, you talk about Tombstone, you talk about Ken Ellis. You know, you start talking about people that are in the Hall of Fame, Mel Blount, Aeneas Williamson. You start talking about Isaac Bruce Robinson. You start talking about legends of college football, but not only that, you talking about guys that made their mark in the NFL. Not only is our tradition great, but our history is second to none.
So you mentioned a lot, Coach, because that ties right into the next question. When you look at nowadays, we remember a time when it was only a few schools that got nationally recognized on television. Now I feel like everybody's on television or some sort of streaming device, and a lot of students have a lot of options. So why would a student athlete choose Southern University?
Well, I think you got to want to come to Southern. I think you got to love this place in order to get it and embrace it and get everything you want out of it. And I think once you get here, it grows on you. I think this is a great place for you to continue as the second level of your education. It's really a great place for undergrad, graduate, even doctorate. This place embraces you and it welcomes you. It's a loving university. It's family oriented. That has not wavered. That has not changed from the day it was founded. And I think you can get everything you want in life right here at Southern University.
And final question, Coach. I feel like now we're in a third golden era of HBCU football with the advent of the Celebration Bowl, with the amount of players getting drafted into the NFL and making NFL rosters and making impact. How has the impact, or how has HBCU football grown in your opinion, and where do you want to see this continue to take place and move forward?
Well, I think when you start looking at, the biggest thing I think from a financial standpoint is how we can continue to have a product that's still financially beneficial to each and every institution. I think we need really a HBCU playoff. I really think for us to be beneficial, we need to be in a playoff format. I think that's what creates a level of excitement. And it took forever for the FBS to realize that. And I guarantee you that the 4 is not enough. It's gonna go to 6, eventually 8, because it's more money, it's more games, it's more fun, and it's games that people wanna see. People would love to see a playoff between the SIAC top 2, the CIAA top 2, the MEAC top 2, and the SWAC top 2. To be able to have an 18 clash to say truly who is the HBCU national champion. Take it out of the hands of voters, because I promise you, I played in the CIAA. And our first 4 games were against Delaware State, who was in the MEAC. It was against A&T, who was in the MEAC. So you got a chance to play South Carolina State, who was in the MEAC. So and we had a chance to play during that time, I think Hampton was in the MEAC. So you had a chance to play against teams that were in the MEAC. And it's not really that difference when you start talking about the top teams. So to decide it on the field is not only the only way to decide the national champion, but it's also a financial way to continue to be a blessing to the many institutions that call themselves HBCUs.
Coach, I've had a fantastic time here just talking ball, you talking philosophy, visited around the campus. This is a great university. My first time actually on campus, and we wish you the best of luck moving forward. Good luck this season.
Always a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.